Today's guest is a powerhouse in finance and technology whose journey began in Senegal and led her to senior leadership role in one of the largest health institutions in Texas. We have nearly 2 decades of expertise in accounting, audit, financial analytics, and enterprise system. So, can you take us back to the decision that triggered the move from actually U.S. To from Senegal to U.S.?
I don't think it was my decision. So my husband and I were dating, and in 2001 we got married. So we did the long distance for a minute. Well, we
Okay,
met in Senegal. We were dating, and then he moved here to
okay,
America. Then we continued dating till 2001, and he moved to Senegal where we got married. That's when. We kind of decided that I was going to move here. It wasn't an easy decision because I was already settled, right? I had a
right,
job, I had my apartment, I had my maid who cooked and cleaned for me. You know
right,
how
right,
different it is when you move
right.
here. So I made the decision to move here with my daughter, who was then a little over 5, right?
Okay,
So we moved here May of 2010, and it was quite a journey, right? Coming to America when
right.
all I knew was French and Wolof, and having to readjust was not an easy journey. But Alhamdulillah, we're here today.
Welcome back to the Opportunity Room, the show where we sit down with true leaders, change makers, brilliant minds, people who are turning ambition into actions. Today's guest is a powerhouse in finance and technology whose journey began in Senegal and led her to senior leadership role in one of the largest health institutions in Texas. We have nearly 2 decades of expertise in accounting, audit, financial analytics, and enterprise system. She combines deep financial expertise with modern technology to drive change. Since joining UT Health in 2013, she has risen to become an assistant vice president of accounting and financial analytics, leading transformative projects from robotic process automation to enterprise system overhauls. Her story is one of drive, vision, resilience, and today we'll explore the experience, mindset, and superpower that helped her go from Senegal to the C-suite conversation. Please welcome to the Opportunity Room, Diarra Boye.
Thank you, Amadou. Thanks for having me.
So, Diarra, we are more than pleased to have you here on board. We've heard a lot of good things about you. So, can you take us back to the decision that triggered the move from actually U.S. To from Senegal to U.S.
I think it was my decision. My husband and I were dating, and in 2001 we got married. So we did the long distance for a minute. Well, we met in Senegal. We were dating, and then he moved here to America. Then we continued dating till 2001, and he moved to Senegal where we got married. When we got married, I went on and continued my journey in school. So I went and did my baccalaureate, high school diploma. And then
Right.
when I finished, I went to IFP, Institut de Formation Professionnelle. That's where I did my BTS Data and Comptabilité. I've always loved accounting. Matter of fact, I went to De La Fosse,
Okay.
CDG. So I've,
Okay.
I've been an accountant my whole life. So after that, I went to ESM for my bachelor's in accounting and quality management with combined with finance.
Okay.
So after my bachelor's, we were still doing the long distance. Right after my bachelor's, my first daughter was born.
Okay.
So I graduated in December of 2004. She was born in May of 2005. So I started first at a bank in Senegal, and then ended up working for Direction Générale des Douanes,
Okay.
Mutual Douane. So I worked there from 2006 to 2010. That's when we kind of decided that I was going to move here. It wasn't an easy decision because I was already settled, right? I had a
Right,
job, I had my apartment, I had my maid who cooked and cleaned for me. You know
right,
how
right,
different it is when you move
right.
here. So I made the decision to move here with my daughter, who was then a little over 5, right? So we moved here May of 2010, and it was quite a journey, right? Coming to America when all I knew was French and Wolof, and having to readjust was not an easy journey. But Alhamdulillah, we're here today.
Absolutely, that's beautiful story. Actually, that the move is tied to a love story.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, we'll give you a little bit of background about Senegal. People are very resistant to move abroad because when you have a decent job, you actually have the privilege of having a maid, and you have all the support system around you. That's why people actually they look at Africa in third world country as places that they don't want to actually move, but it's actually a privilege when you get to actually have a decent job. You
Mhm.
have a great support system.
Yeah.
So, do you remember your welcome to America moment? Because mine, you know how you always dreaming about coming to US. Maybe it wasn't your case. Your case
Mhm.
was driven by getting married and all of that. But mine, right out of college, people have the tendency of going to French because we were colonized by French people, right?
Mhm.
So I always told my parent that I wanted to actually go to the US versus French. Uh, when I came to, I landed in New York, and in this apartment, they had some big rats, bold and big rats that was actually roaming around the kitchen, fearless. So I was like, okay, this is America for me. I don't think I want to stick around. So in your case, I mean, my story might be totally different than yours because you came and meet your husband here. But what was your welcome to America moment here?
Well, I cried a lot. The first year, all I did was crying because, first of all, I came here not speaking English, so I had to go to the hair salon, right,
Right,
and do hair. That wasn't my thing, right? I got
right,
nothing against it, but it just wasn't my thing. So I was super sad that I had to do that. One night, I had to take some woman's hair down. She came around 5, so I thought, I mean, taking hair down, how long can it take? I was in that hair till 9 p.m., right? Trying to take it down. Now, taking someone's hair down is like $50 is what they pay. And you who works at the salon will get 27.5 and the owner will get whatever the amount. What? So if I take 27.5, all of a
right,
sudden I turn it to 12,500. And I'm
right,
thinking, I'm standing here
right,
doing this woman's hair that's taking forever and it's not smelling good for 3 hours for 12,500. What am I
right,
doing in this country? So
right,
I called my husband to pick me up from the salon because I wasn't driving yet
right.
and I couldn't get a hold of him. So, and it was cold, right? And I was wearing something light. But the salon and our house was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes walk. It wasn't a whole
Okay,
lot. So I walked. I
okay,
walked and I got to the apartment and I knocked and he opened and I just started crying, saying, I'm going back. I'm not staying
right,
in this country. I don't know why you brought me here. He's like, calm down. I'm like, no, no, I'm going back. So
right,
that's my story. It was pretty interesting. Matter of fact, when I left
right,
Senegal,
right,
because in Senegal you can do disponibility, so they kept my
right.
job open for me for 2 years. That
Okay,
didn't help because every fight I had with my husband, I threatened him to go back because I had my job waiting for
right,
me.
right, right.
But every time I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go back because I'm not staying here. He's like, that's not an option. Stop
That
putting
is
that
so
out there.
funny. That
Yeah,
is so funny. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I can totally understand.
yeah.
For somebody who never probably bred hair, don't know how to do that. You come and you have to split
It
your
was brutal.
earnings, right? So
Mhm.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit. I mean, based on what you told me, you always been a finance person. So
Mhm.
how did you? Okay, you came here, you didn't speak English. So how did you work your way to getting comfortable with the language and just landing your very first job? Did you go to college to actually improve your skill set, or study English? How did that go about?
So it's a combination of a lot of things. So when I
Okay,
was at the hair salon, every
okay,
opportunity I had to talk to actual customers, Americans who spoke English, I took. Matter of fact,
okay,
the first person who updated my resume was a Kenyan lady who worked at Saudi Aramco. She was a customer, and I
okay.
came to her and I say, "Help, resume, fix CV for me, please." And she's like, "You want me to help you with your resume?" I'm like, "Yes, yes.
Right.
Me speak French. Help." I figure out how to say it.
Right.
And then she asked to send it, and I had it on my hotmail.com. I find a way to send her my resume that
Right.
was in French because I didn't know how to translate it. And she
Right.
translated it for me. So then I had a copy with me all the time. And another lady came to the salon to do her hair. And everybody who came, I'll say, "Me look for a job. You know job? You have job?" I'm asking everybody because I really don't want to be
Definitely
there.
hated it. Right.
One of them asked me to apply at I won't say the name, but at a local clothing store. She
Okay.
said, "Oh, hey, we're hiring cashiers there. You should apply." And I said, "Sure."
Right.
So I went and applied, and then they called me for an interview. I don't know how I was able to interview because God knew I was not speaking English. So they
Right.
hired me as a cashier at a clothing store. That was my first job. Now,
Right.
during the interview, I mentioned that I had a bachelor's in accounting, and I guess the manager just remembered it. So
Okay.
about maybe 2 weeks into the job, she
Right.
called me one night and say, "Hey, uh, Miss Diarra, you said you had a bachelor's in accounting," and I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Be here at 6 a.m. tomorrow." And I'm like, "Okay." She said, "Because my cash officer is leaving and I would like for you to take that job." See, God opened doors that you don't even know where they come from. Now, at this point, I did not know the difference between a nickel and a penny and a
Right.
dime. So
Right.
I'm like here with all this change and I'm telling my husband, "Why is the 10 cents smaller than the 5 cents?" That's the part I don't get. So I'm counting the money, trying to memorize because 10 cents is so small and 5
Right.
cents is bigger. So I keep getting it mixed up. And you should just know the brown one is 5 cents, the white one is 10 cents. I mean, I'm struggling with actually just
Right.
knowing the change.
Right.
So I went the next morning, the cash officer trained me. Like she was counting the money, putting the registers together and everything. So she trained me that first day. And then the next day I went because she's supposed to train me the whole week before she leave.
Right.
Well, I show up the next day, she wasn't there. So it's me and the cameras and all this money, and I'm supposed to count it, put the registers together before the store opened.
Okay.
Usually, that woman would have been done probably before the store opened and have all 16 registered ready. I had
Right.
three ready by the time the store
Wow.
opened.
Right.
So, but the manager was really good with me. She's like, "You're doing a good job, Misty. Don't worry about it." So I was counting till like noon. So
Okay.
even when the Brinks truck came to pick up the money, I wasn't ready. So later on, they had to take me to the bank to do the deposit. Now, by the next morning, I was done by 11. And then, so by the end of the week, I was done by 9, right? I catch up real quick.
Right.
And then I knew that wasn't enough. So I registered at a community college to take English classes.
Right.
So then what I would do is I'll do the cash office in the morning from 6 to like I'll finish come and count the money real quick. I'll finish before my 8 o'clock class and go to the community college, take my class till 10. It was just an 8 to 10 class. And then I come back to the shop because then they'll put me in the fine jewelry department where
Okay.
I'll just help people with jewelry. Now,
Okay.
all I knew was, "Oh my God, this is so pretty. You're looking good." So it doesn't matter what you're trying. There's a lot of old ladies that like the
Right.
white bits and stuff. They will try to talk to me and they'll say a whole sentence. And when they're done, I'll be like, "Oh my God, so pretty, looking good." That's it. That was
Right.
it worked. People like
Right.
when you tell them they're pretty. So I did that for a minute and then I went to work for a daycare. Okay. So my daughter was going to this daycare, and the daycare lady told me she's hiring for a pre-K teacher. And I was like, "I
Okay.
can do it."
Right.
Well, it didn't last. It didn't last because that's not what she was hiring for. I was
Okay. Okay.
cooking and cleaning and doing way more than just teaching pre-K three.
Okay.
But I didn't leave the job. I looked for something else, and I got into H&R Block, passed their tax exam, and then they hired me as a tax preparer.
So
So
at
I
the
was,
time, by the time you reached H&R Block, were you actually proficient in English, or you were still
mhm. Yeah, I
Okay,
was
okay,
better. I was definitely better. I could communicate. I mean, till today, I have an accent, so it's it never going to be fluent, but I could understand the customers. I could
right,
communicate with them, so it was
okay,
definitely better. So
okay,
I worked in H&R Block, and I met someone who worked for UT Health Houston, and she said,
okay,
"You should come work for UT." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "It's a university." And I said, "Have you heard my English? How can I teach at a university?" She said,
right,
"Girl, there are other jobs that don't require you to
right.
teach. You can be an accountant, you can be this." So she sent me the links, and I started applying, and then I got an interview for my first position there, and I've been there since then.
That's a beautiful story.
Hmm.
Now, the accounting that you learned in Senegal, right? When you started working the accounting, was your very first job in at UT related to accounting?
Not really. I mean,
Okay,
so it was more of a administrative support,
okay,
doing travel, ordering supplies, a little bit of billing,
okay,
paying invoices, but it wasn't hardcore accounting of
okay,
debiting and crediting. But there
okay,
was a little bit of that, randomly you do like a journal entry, but it wasn't hardcore accounting. But what I didn't mention is when I went to HCC2 to take
okay,
English, I
right,
went back and retake accounting one and two just because I wanted it to relink the
right,
accounting I know and
right,
the accounting here to make sure that I understood the terms, right? Because
right,
it's sometimes different. So
right.
I went back and took accounting classes at the community college.
Okay,
This was
that's
way
what I
before I
wanted.
even did my CPA. Hmm.
That's what I wanted to understand because I wanted to see if someone live in Senegal, whether they have a master's or they've been working in the financial industry for some time, if they can just easily transition without having to go through some type of training to kind of adjust and just match the skill that we used to have in Senegal and just the accounting system in America. So that's what
I
I
mean,
was
it's
trying to.
doable. I just, for myself, I needed to go back and relearn and just make sure that I fully understood that it I could compare what I knew to what
Right,
I'm seeing now and kind of make sure that it's still the same. Debiting is debiting in every
right,
language and
right.
crediting is crediting. The
Great, great,
rules might
great.
be different, the laws might be different, which, it's different in every country anyway.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So you actually hold both in accounting and data analytics with a CPA. I'm not sure what a, CFE certification is, right? Okay. So now, what drove you to keep building qualification? After you reach a certain level of education.
I think it was just the job. So when I went
Okay.
working for UT, I ended up in the internal audit department.
Okay.
So when I got hired as a staff auditor, most of the seniors were certified internal auditors, that's the
Okay.
CIA, and
Okay.
certified fraud examiners. So because I wanted it to be a senior, I
Okay.
went after those certifications. And I was
Okay.
just blessed with a good department and a good boss who also helped support and like kind of encouraged me to go chase those certifications. So I got certified as an internal auditor and a
Right.
fraud examiner when I was in audit.
So now let me digress a little bit. I probably should have asked you that question first. When you started like as an admin, your admin position, right, in UT, then
Mhm.
from there, how did you transition from one position to another? Is that something that you actually seek out, or does that they say, "Oh, yeah, we see that you're doing so well. Why can't you try this position?" How did that go about?
So I've always been a person that just say what I want.
Right,
And then the worst answer is a no. If I get a no, then it's okay. So when I saw the opening and I wanted it, I
right,
actually went to my boss and I told her that I saw an opening in internal audit and I really want to apply. This is what I want to do. It's kind of tied to what I do. I'm an accountant and audit
right,
is kind of and he said, "Well, go ahead and apply and it's so and so that's hiring. he's a good guy. So I applied and I got an email from HR saying that I qualified for the position. And if whoever is hiring would like to interview me, they'll be in touch. Again, I just go after what I want. That's who I am.
Right. Right.
So when I didn't get a call, I dialed the man. He's the chief audit executive. Okay. I just dial him and I say, "Hi, how are you? My name is so and so. I had applied for one of your position and HR said I qualified, but you haven't called me for an interview. I was wondering when you were going to interview me." He chuckled. Till today, he's my work dad. Okay. Like I'm very tight to him. Till today, we very tight. He chuckled and
Nice.
said, "What was your name again?" And I
Right.
said, and I spelled out my name, and he's like, "We're still going through applications. If you do qualify, we'll be in touch." And I said, "Thank you, sir," and I hang up. A
Right.
couple hours later, I got a call from one of the managers in the department that says, "We would like to interview you."
Okay.
So then I went and interviewed for the job, and the rest is history. They're still like my family. I'm still tied to that group. Good people. We still work.
Now, what was that position? What was that title?
It was a staff auditor.
Okay. So
Hmm.
that's when you moved up and went and became a senior auditor after that position?
So I was a staff auditor, then an auditor, then a senior auditor. So there are like steps to follow. So I had to go through all of those steps.
Okay. So
Hmm.
now walk us through that turning point that actually led you to this current role as assistant VP. Just walk us through, if you could summarize it, y- just walk us through the process so we can understand, because you have people that are, a lot of people in our community that they already in corporate America, right, just in
Hmm.
different positions. Myself, I'm in IT.
Hmm.
I haven't reached the VP level yet, but
Hmm.
someday I will want to reach the VP level, right, or maybe just branch out and open my own organization or own company. I'm not sure yet, but I want to understand what is the process like for you to actually start from this and work your way all the way to assistant vice president.
So when I was in audit, I was very versed into data analytics because the UT system, our system, our it's like I guess the main system that owns UT Health, they delivered a tool called Idea. It was a data analytics tool. And I'm just naturally curious. When I see
Right.
something new, I explore it. So I got really good with it and with scripting and coding. So when leadership above, my boss, like the COO and the CFO, had projects or something urgent, they would ask my boss to help with it, and he would always give it to me. So slowly, I just started making a name, I guess, for myself for just
Right.
being good with data. So
Right.
one day, the COO and the CFO called my boss and said if they could borrow me for 6 months. They
Okay.
wanted me to help them with a specific project. So I went to help and then got offered a permanent position there with the CFO. And then in the negotiation, I told him that I wanted to go and get a master's of science in data analytics if he would be paying for it, if he would be open
Okay.
to pay for it, and he agreed
Right.
to do that. So he paid for my
Okay.
master's. So I went to the University of Houston downtown and got a master's degree in data analytics because I was really into data. This was before I even went in and get my
Okay.
CPA certification.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry. So then I went and did that work with the COO and the CFO, and the head of IT was retiring, and they hired a new gentleman, and they needed a director of IT, finance, and business services.
Okay.
So they'd asked me to go in that department and help put things together, create policies and procedures, get things ready for the new director. So
Right.
initially, I wasn't even thinking about the position at all. I was just doing it, right? I have a
Right.
job. They just asked me to help.
Right.
So as I was, and we were in the middle of implementing a huge system called Epic, and I was also the financial advisor on the project. So
Okay.
I was doing it. They posted the director position. People were applying. I wasn't really considering it until I was walking over lunch with a good friend of mine, And she said, "Well, why are you not applying for this director position?" And I said, "I don't know. You think they'll give it to me?" And she said, "Well, you're doing it. You might as well
Right.
just apply for it."
Right.
And I was like, hmm. So then it just kind of stuck with me. And I came home and I mentioned it to my husband. And he's like, she's right. If you're doing it, why wouldn't you compete for it? And
Right.
the next day I went and I told my boss that I'd like to compete for the position. And he thought it was a good idea. So I went and compete for it. And they made me the director of IT,
Okay.
finance, and business services. So that's
Okay.
how I started my leadership journey. I went
Okay.
from a director to an executive director. Then from there, they made me the assistant vice president for accounting and financial analytics.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Hmm.
I see you have a grit and resilience in you. You are pretty persistent when you want something, and that's pretty good. I don't know if it's naturally who you are or you had to develop that mindset.
A combination of both. So I genuinely just go after what I want, but I
Okay.
don't take things personal too. Like if it doesn't work out, it really just doesn't work out. I don't let it wear
Right.
me down. I just move on to the next thing. So initially, I started getting into this data analytic world, but then I'm dealing with accountants and doing accounting, and I knew if one day I want to be the CFO or want to hold a big accounting title, I needed to be a CPA.
Okay.
So then I could have just sit back because I have a master's degree. I had nothing to prove, but
Right.
I wanted to almost put everything. I wanted to check all the boxes. So when it's time for me to compete for something, I can't say, well, I didn't succeed because of this or because of that. It would be just because it wasn't for me or it wasn't
Right.
meant to be, but at least I'll put everything. So then I started chasing the CPA. Now, that was the most brutal exam I've ever taken. The
Really.
the most difficult 5 months of my life. Uh,
Really. Okay.
yes, I was studying 24/7. If I'm not working, I'm studying. If I'm not sleeping, I'm studying. If I'm not, if even when I'm eating, I'm studying. I
Wow. Okay.
traveled to Dallas every single Saturday for 5 months. Every day, I hop on a plane, 6 a.m. plane, get to Dallas, go to an in-person class, hop on a 9 p.m. plane, don't get home till 11 p.m., study Sunday. So it was very brutal, but it was worth it because I really wanted the CPA designation. And that's what had opened the AVP position for me to be the AVP of accounting and financial analytics.
Now, why did you have to go to Dallas? There was no organization or
Yeah,
institution
there
that
was
was doing
no
it in Houston.
there were no in-person class nowhere else in America but there. So I could
Okay.
do it online and it could take me 2 years, 3 years, because I've seen people going through the journey forever. Or I could just buckle up and get it done as quick as possible, which, as a mom of two, a wife and full-time worker, I didn't have all that time. So I just buckled up and get it done.
Nice, nice. Actually,
Yeah.
you will love the episode that I just recorded a couple of days ago. I have not put it out there yet. There's
Mhm.
this lady. She's originally from Ghana, and she's actually right now is coaching high power women that are actually struggling with work life balance and well being because they still wearing different hat. From uh, the Susu director to the wife to the mom. It's just overwhelming at times. So she's dedicated her life on improving a woman's life. That was a great conversation from a couple of days ago.
That's it.
Yeah. So to change direction a little bit and ask you, you've been involved. If I'm correct, you've been involved in major project like electronic records and HR tracking system.
Mhm.
What project has been the most challenging and why?
So we implemented a system called Epic. It's an electronic medical record system, and
Okay.
it was about a little over $100 million project involving thousands and thousands of employees and physicians. And I was still, I want to say, mid level management, not as mature as I would consider myself right now, but my boss trusted me with the project. So I approve every single dollar and every single cent that was spent on it. In the middle of the implementation, COVID happened. Okay.
Okay.
And this is an in-person type of project, workflow, work through, all of it's supposed to happen in person. We have consultants from all over America, and all of a sudden it's COVID, nobody can come over, and we had to shift. That was quite a journey. I had to go back and renegotiate every single contract. People
Right.
thought I was so cheap, which I wanted them to think of me as cheap.
Right.
So I would go through, like if a consultant submitted a receipt, let's say, and said they worked 8 hours from 8 to 5, but then their Uber receipt coming into the building would say they come into the building at 8:24. I would nickel and dime with them. I purposefully did that to set the tone that you gonna invoice me right, and you only gonna invoice me right, and we're not gonna spend any extra dollar. When
Right.
COVID happened, we had a lot of consultants where we negotiated that we would pay them 25% in addition to their rate for their travel, and for their hotels and stuff. I had to go back and renegotiate that. I'm not paying you 25 because you're not traveling, you're home. So we saved a lot of money, uh, fired a lot of people, actually. A lot of some of the consultant, we realized we didn't need them because I'm, like I said, I dig into stuff. When something doesn't make sense, I don't just walk away. So I started asking questions to who is so and so helping. It's like, oh, I think they're helping so and so. And then when I ask so and so, well, I thought they're helping so and so. I'm like, okay, looks like they're not helping anybody. Gone. So, we went very efficient, and we implemented the project totally successfully and way under budget. So that was the biggest project that I was involved in. It felt really good. This was in the middle of me finishing my master's degree, right? So I still graduated, and then we were able to deliver the project successfully.
That is pretty impressive. The way you juggle different responsibilities and different challenges. Yeah, I truly believe that women are very versatile, and we need to involve them more in
Mhm.
many processes. So you've also worked in robotic process automation, right?
Yeah, I like
So now,
automating. I over automate almost everything.
so automation is a good skill to have nowadays, because well, some people don't look at it they look at it the negative way, because it's eliminating a lot of jobs. But if you look at it on a different lenses, it allows people to shift their competencies in different areas, right? But
Agreed. I
so
agree.
now, in that robotic automation, I'm just trying to make sense of the correlation between automation and finance. What is the that correlation? So I'm still not clear about that.
Well, so finance is all about numbers. Finance is
Okay.
all about Excel spreadsheet. Finance is
Right.
about running reports and making sure the data is right. So
Right.
there's a lot of busy work in finance.
Right.
Well, when when you have really smart people, you want them to do really smart work, not busy work. The busy work is for the boss.
Right.
You want them to truly do a variance analysis. You want them to look at the data when it's ready and say, it's 4 million here, it's 6 million here, there's a $2 million difference, and this is why. You don't want them to sit there and calculate 4 minus 6. You don't
Right.
want that. You want a
Right.
system to do it. You want a system to do the cleanup, to do the entries, to do all of that busy work that doesn't require a whole lot of thinking. You actually
Okay.
want them to think, not to
Right.
just do steps, right? So that's when automation comes along, because it's really hard to have enough staff to do
Right.
all of that.
Right.
So then you use your staff for the meaningful type of work. And then the things, especially this new generation, they smart, they fast, right? They pick up. So you can't give them boring work and expect them to sit around and keep doing it. Some of it is just really repetitive task. You
Right.
teach it to a bot, and
Right.
then you let them worry about the one that require critical thinking, specific skills, having a way to analyze things, and uh, make it make sense, not
Right.
something that really just. Reality is, if a bot can take your job, that's a
Right.
problem. That's a problem. Nobody should be doing something a bot can take. If you are, you should sit back and say, what am I doing?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No, totally get it. I think it's streamlining the process is very important.
Hmm.
So some of the boring, mundane tasks can be actually automated and just utilize people in different areas to move the business further. So now, can innovation actually be a compromise to financial integrity? No. Yes.
Yeah, you innovate every day. You have to. You have to
Okay.
be open to innovation. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to disruptive technology, right? The technology is here to stay. AI is here to stay. New tools, new ways of thinking are here to stay. So it's either you fall in line and you follow through and you learn, or you
Right.
become obsolete. You
Right.
cannot be in this world where, I mean, I bet my phone is listening to me right now. And you cannot be in that world and want to live in a cave.
Right.
It's not going to work. So you have
Right.
to be willing to innovate. Now, just because everybody is changing doesn't mean you
Right.
have to change.
Right.
And you don't change something that's not working, or don't recreate the wheel. But
Right.
if it could make it better without making people's life miserable, you
Right.
should explore it, right?
Right.
It's not every change that's a good change, but it's not
Right.
every change that's a bad change either.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to be open to looking at all options and pick what's best for everyone.
100% agree.
Hmm.
Um, Now, what do you consider your superpower? That one trait or skill that allow you to rise all the way to vice president.
I think I have a positive attitude. I think it's
Okay.
really, I don't take anything personal. I genuinely think my coworkers are just my coworkers, and that's about it. I have friends at work. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of good friends, but
Right.
you get to choose to be friends with someone.
Right.
It's not something you have to force. I have people that have worked for me that do not like me, and it's so okay. I'm fine
Right.
with it. It doesn't
Right.
bother me. You
Right.
have to just be willing to do your job, and I'll do my job.
Right.
I can work for somebody who I don't like or who doesn't like me, and I'll still do my job. I try to keep the personal feelings aside. It's not a marriage. It's not a friendship. They're not my kids. I'm not their mama. We're just working. So when people start taking work comments and things personal, that's
Right.
when their judgment get clouded and they lose the picture of, this is just work. Can we focus on the facts and do the job and go home? That's, I think that's that positive attitude. People call it tough skin. People
Right.
like, nothing bothers her. It's not that. There are things that bother me,
Right.
but they are home, or my
Right.
mom or my sister. This
Right.
is work. I'm just
Right.
gonna do my job and I'm gonna go home. And not that I don't care. I do. I genuinely
Right.
care about my work. But
Right.
again, I try to separate the professional life with my personal life, and what happened at work, it's still in a professional environment, and I cannot take it personal. You can't, because then it's just gonna hurt.
Absolutely. Okay, if I hear you correctly, just positive attitude alone can actually help you rise all the way to VP level without, well, granted, you have some technical skills, very,
Mhm.
very desired technical skills, but that, so I will compare, I will put that in the box of intelligent, emotional intelligence,
Yeah, it's
because,
the 80/20 rule. You can be 80% smart
right?
and you are rude, you're not going anywhere. You can
Okay,
be 20% smart, but you are reasonable, you're responsible, you work with people, you're respectful, you don't take things personal. People will help you. I
okay,
can teach someone a skill. I cannot teach you a behavior. I can't teach you attitude. Whatever
absolutely,
it is that I have to teach, I can teach it to you.
right,
If you want to raise right, if you don't know how to behave, if you don't know how to talk to people, If you
Right.
take everything personal, I can't help you with that. Once
Right.
you're an adult, I can't fix that.
Right.
Now, I can
I
teach
agree.
you how to do debit and credit. I can teach you how to run a report. I can teach you how to code.
Right.
Those are skills that you can teach someone.
Right.
Positive attitude, either you have it or you don't. When you don't have positive attitude, people don't want to be around you. And then when they don't want to be around you, they don't want to trust you with anything. And then when people don't trust you, they don't want to give things to you. And they only give you things because they trust you that you sometimes, and you've probably witnessed it, where somebody will go around to five people to
Right.
get an answer to a question when the person next door knows it,
That's true.
because the person next door will give you the answer, but will make you
Right.
feel so small
Right.
with an attitude, or say
Absolutely.
something that just makes you feel stupid. Now,
Absolutely.
you can go to five people and each one of them will know 20% of the answer. And if you put it together, you get the answer. But you
Right.
would rather do that than deal with this person right next to you because how they are. So,
Right.
attitude matters,
Right. Right.
especially in a workplace with a bunch of strangers that you just met.
Right.
They're not your family. Y'all weren't raised together. Yeah.
That's why a lot of these hiring questions are tied to behavior, to trying to identify some of the behavior they can actually detect early in the process and
Hmm.
weed out those people. Because if you're not coachable, the organization, it doesn't matter where you go, there won't be nothing they can do for you. Uh,
That's true.
so there's a lot of biases in the workplace, you know.
Mm.
So what advice do you give professional, mainly women, right? Because there's a lot of bias towards women in different areas, right? So what advice would you give professional who wants to overcome barriers and still rise in their career?
Back to the don't take it personal. Sometimes you have to ignore it to beat
Right.
it.
Right.
I act blunt. The reason why I act blunt and
Right.
genuinely just ask the question I want to ask without overthinking, well, would they think, would they say? I don't go there. If I think, Amadou, you and I are sitting at the desk and doing this work, and I think I'm genuinely fairly smart and educated and I can do the work, you are given the position and not me. I just turn and say, well, can somebody tell me why Amadou was given the position and not me? Because of X, Y, and Z and this and I just ask. I
Right.
don't I don't go and hide. I don't be scared. I don't overthink it. I just ask because reality is sometimes you don't know the full picture. Now, don't get
Right.
me wrong. I'm not saying there's no bias. I'm not
Right.
saying there's no racism. But
Right.
sometimes we think of everything as a bias or racism when it's not even that. Like,
Okay.
I have an accent. If
Right.
I say something to you and you can't understand it and you make me repeat it, why am I frustrated?
Right.
I have an accent.
Absolutely.
So then it's actually okay that you cannot understand me when I said it in the first time.
Right.
It's repeated. No
Absolutely.
big deal. But people like, you see, she's making me repeat it. She's so racist. What does that have to do with racism? They
Right.
just didn't hear you.
Right.
So not everything is racism. Not everything is biased. If you go back to where we're from,
Right.
if a white man who lives in Senegal and grow in Senegal will say something in Wolof, we
Right.
laugh. We
Right.
think it's
Absolutely.
funny because
Right.
the way they're gonna say it.
Right.
Was that racism? No, it was just funny the way they said it. Sometimes we might
Right.
even make them repeat it. So if
Right.
you put yourself in people's place, you might see that it not everything is racist. Not
Right.
everything is biased. Sometimes it's just and own being different.
Okay.
Being
Interesting.
different is okay. Own it.
Right.
Be comfortable with who you are.
Right.
I jokingly tell people, English is not my native language, right? What, especially when I want to be mean, I'll say something mean and then I laugh and say, was that bad? Because English is not my native language, right? And they're like,
Right.
really, dear? We
Right.
know what you mean, but it's okay. I
Right.
or sometimes I want to say something and I don't know the English word. I'll
Right.
actually tell my colleagues, wait, let me ask Google. And then I Google it. I'll say it to them in French and I say, let me find the English word. And
Right.
then they're helping me Google it. And then we all laugh about it
Right. Right.
because there's nothing wrong with that. You
Right.
have to be somehow fairly smart to travel thousands of miles
Right.
from a different culture, a different tribe, a different language, and
Right.
find a way to figure it out in a different country. If you
Right.
don't take that as something good and be okay with being different, the problem is not them, it's you.
Right. Absolutely.
My grandmother used to say a piece of wood could spend thousands of years in a river. It will never, never be a crocodile. So you will never sound American like the
Right.
Americans. You
Right.
will never think American like those that were born and raised here. It's a different culture. You
Right.
weren't born and raised. It's okay. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Just own it and be okay with it. And don't get offended every time somebody asks you, where you from?
Right.
When people ask me where I'm from, I'm like, mean like where like, cause I travel a lot, right? Like
Right.
I'll be in Chicago and somebody say where you from, I'm like where I'm from, where I travel from, where I'm originally from. And they're
Right.
like, why are
Right.
you asking them that? They shouldn't ask you. I'm like, it's just a question. And when they say originally from, I'm like, West Africa, Senegal, let me show you. And I open the map and I'm
Right.
like, you see this little city right here? I was born here and raised here.
Right.
And it's okay. I love it.
Right.
I own it.
Right.
I
Right.
don't get offended to, yeah, as soon as I start talking, they wanted to let me know that they notice my accent and that's why they ask me where I'm from. Don't go
Right.
there. That's
Right.
negative.
Right.
Just tell them.
No, I agree, and some of the stuff is honestly mainly that question around where you're from, right? People from Africa or people that are not originally from America, they struggle with that question, right? But usually it's very cultural. I found out after many years that that question is very cultural. It's part of their day-to-day conversation. The first time that they meet you, the first thing they ask you, where are you from? It's not necessary to pick out because of your accent or because you're not good enough to be around or to sit on the table. They are just curious, and it's part of their day-to-day conversation to find out if this person is from up north, Texas, Africa, or wherever else, right? So it's and Papa Dia was saying, and going back to what you were saying earlier, Papa Dia, that's the guy I interviewed a while back, very smart guy. He was saying that if you're a smart person in Africa, wherever you else you go in the world, you're still going to be a smart person. So don't focus on the fact that you speak different or you have a different culture. Focus on the value that you can add in whatever room you actually in that particular moment.
I
So
agree.
very interesting. I think I need to adopt that positive mindset that you have because you take everything lightly. You don't take nothing personal. And there is also this quote that I cannot translate in English where Senghor was saying, our ex-president, for those people who are listening who don't know, Senghor is the ex-president of Senegal who was saying l'émotion est nègre, right? Because we have to take everything personal. Everything is not tied to emotion. So sometimes we have to disconnect ourselves
Mhm.
from that. So now looking back at your journey from Senegal all the way to leadership role in US, what is one challenge that you turn into opportunity, right? I know you probably already answered that questions because you
Yeah, so it's not. I've always been strict, like very strict. People call me complicated. I'm very like right is right, wrong is wrong. There's no gray.
okay,
So it took me a lot to learn to be comfortable in the gray.
okay,
Um, because once you get to leadership, you realize that it's not always black and white.
okay,
Like in my journey in Senegal, I struggle with um, just things that people would do that I always like. I come to work at 8 and I leave at 5 because I'm supposed to work 8 hours, and that's who I believe. And they like, yo, I could come service, come bouton. You
right,
know, people used to joke about how, oh my God, she show up so early and she stay late. She never miss a day. I've always just been super strict to,
right,
you know, I'm asked to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to do it.
right,
But at the same time, I've had to learn. Like I was so uncomfortable working from home for the longest, right? Because when I work from home, I work more hours because every time I go down to make myself something to eat, there's this guilt that says I'm stealing time. Oh my God, I'm
right,
not working. So
right,
it took me a minute to get used to, you know what? I give extra hours every week. I'm sure me going and making myself an omelette for 15 minutes is not that bad. I
right,
should feel comfortable with it.
right,
So I struggled a lot with it. early on in my career. Now there are days where I just feel like getting out at 3. I just get out and I grab my purse and I say, "Hey, everybody, I'll see you tomorrow or have a good night." And I'm not feeling guilty because deep
Right.
down I know I'm doing way more than 40 hours a week and it's
Right.
okay.
Right.
So that was something I truly struggled for the longest. People would say, "She's cheap, she's complicated, she's so strict." Eh, that's who I am.
I get it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now let's get out of the realm of work and just trying to get some not so too personal question, but just question that maybe my listener will want to know and just wanna. So are you a reader or you just an audiobook listener?
Reader. I like to read.
Reader. Okay. All
Hmm.
right. So one tell us one book that you're reading or that you read that actually had a major impact on your life.
Oh, so many, but one of them said, and I don't know who wrote it, how to make friends in a workplace.
Right.
It literally says how to make friends. And it talks about how to turn uh, a sentence that could come across as a no. And ChatGPT is helping me with that a lot because I'm
Okay.
very short in my
Okay.
writing. If
Okay.
I want to deny something, I just say deny. If I want to approve it, I say approve. I really just say the word.
Straight to the point, right?
Right. So, how to make friends has gotten me to start using ChatGPT. It says the same thing. It's end up going to say denied, but it says, uh, we are unable to approve your request at this time. So many words just to say denied.
Right.
Man, okay. But that comes across so much better than no,
Right.
denied, or can't do it, or not in the budget. I communicate very short. So now I'll write whatever I want to say. And then
Right.
I go to ChatGPT and I say, soften this. It's soften. It works. It even says, "Good morning. I hope you had a good weekend." It says all of these things that I
Right.
don't
Right.
say.
Right.
And it remember to greet, like in person, I'm friendly. Again, English is not my native language. When I'm
Of course. Right.
writing, I come across as short. So then I
Right.
had to learn to make friends using ChatGPT to make my
Right.
emails a little softer than usual.
I think the book is how to make friends and influence people, something like that,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
to Make Friends and Influence People. That
Yeah.
was one
Yeah.
of my favorite books because
Right.
I was reading stuff and I'll just chuckle because it's like me. Oh my God,
Right.
this is stuff I used to say. Okay, this is how I need to say it now. Okay, this is how I'm going to do it now. And even small comments as, "Oh, I love that blue on you." "Oh, hey, where did you get these shoes?" Small comments that just
Right.
make people feel good, right? Because you
Right.
don't know what they're going through.
Right. Right.
Life is just tough and there's a lot going on. So, and then again, don't take stuff personal when
Right.
somebody is being short or whatever. Maybe they had a night, maybe they having a day. Just step back, give them a minute, and don't take it personal. So that book kind of also helped with that positive attitude that I'm talking about.
I'm actually surprised, to be honest with you, because coming from Senegal, right? We like what I'm referring is you saying, oh, approve or deny, just being very straightforward to the point and just
Mhm,
being short in your answers.
mhm,
Because Senegal, we have the tendency of just going around, beating around the bush before we say things. We never go, because
mhm.
people will think that you're rude, right? So I'm surprised that you actually
But remember, I told you I struggle in Senegal for
right,
being called the complicated one,
right,
the
right,
strict one, the
right,
gun service one, the
right,
everything has to be to the penny. Oh my
right.
God, she gonna reconcile everything. So I was always been the, oh my God, look at her.
Okay,
When she
right,
coming for inventory, when I used to go for inventory, I
right,
would inventory everything. If
right.
there is one box of spaghetti missing, I'm writing you up on it.
Right,
And it's like this woman. So I went from that to here. And, I spent 5 years in internal audit. It didn't help. Like, as an
right,
auditor, you also have to be very strict into,
right,
you know, A is A and B is B. So
right,
it took me a minute to adjust you know. Okay, maybe I can let go of this one. Okay, maybe this one I'm gonna look the other way and act like I didn't see it.
No, you're right because
Yeah.
I do also work in audit myself, right? But I work in audit in information security, right? But I struggle because I was completely the opposite of who you are. I'm somebody who just very politically correct, right, in everything that they do. Trying to go around, don't want to hurt nobody's feeling and things like that. And when you're trying to apply that same principle in audit, you're gonna pass everybody, right? And
Hmm.
passing people without actually scrutinizing them, you
Hmm.
actually you're doing a disservice to your organization, right?
That is
Because that's
true.
that's not the proper way of
Yeah,
handling audit. So yeah, obviously I'm not sure if you cook or you
I
but
do.
what is one of Senegalese dish that you can't live without?
Oh, I don't know. I cook everything. Something that I can't live without?
Right.
No, maybe mafia. I like mafia.
Mafe? Mafe, okay.
But
All
I'm
right.
I'm a cook. I cook a lot. I cook. I enjoy actually cooking.
Okay.
So my family always joke about how I'm always in the kitchen and wanting to cook something. So there
Okay.
is always food in my house. I really
Beautiful.
just like cooking. My children also. My older daughter actually this whole week I told her I don't want to see her in my kitchen because there was so much food in the house. Then I'm like, please do
Right.
not be cooking this whole week.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So now, if you were not in finance, right, and IT, what career would you be in right now?
I'll probably be a social worker working with old people. So I was raised
Okay.
by my grandma, and I
Okay.
really like being around elderly people. That's the one thing I truly enjoy. Matter of fact, I get along with anybody that's old that I work
Okay.
with. I just happen
Okay.
to be very close to. I have a
Okay.
thing with elderly people, and
Okay.
um, my mother-in-law was also very old when
Okay.
I met her, and we were super tight. I was raised by my grandma, so if I wasn't working in finance, I'll probably be somewhere doing social work around old people. That's the one thing that makes me happy.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. One
So
day, if I win the lottery, I'll just open my own nursing home.
why not, right?
Yeah.
So now we like to keep the interview to an hour. It's
Hmm.
almost an hour, so there's obviously a lot of things that we could have shared and a beautiful conversation. You share a lot of gems on this conversation, and I hope people will actually learn from it and just believe in themselves and make the right decision towards growing their careers and just embracing who they are. If I can summarize some of the highlight of these conversations, um, what advice would you give your younger self if you had, the opportunity to talk to someone and just coach them and just what advice would you give your younger version?
The younger you are, the more aggressive you probably want to be in your education and go after those certificates, go after the degrees, and then find a mentor, find somebody that you trust. When you get to a company, when I started, when I finished my bachelor's,
Right,
the our professor, our HR professor, said something that stuck with me, and it stuck with me till today. He said, "Everywhere you go, there's a job for you. You just have to find it. Even the people that are about to offer you the job don't know that it exists. You have to show them. So look for the opportunity. It's there. It's out there. It's somewhere. You just need to pay attention and observe, and then it's there. It could be some a room full of paper that you could digitalize for them, and all of a sudden they need somebody to keep it digital. It could
right,
be an old car that's parked over there that they need you to fix. Maybe now they need a driver. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, but
right,
there's always something over there that's in the back burner. It's a
right,
problem.
right,
Just nobody wants to deal with it right now, but it's a problem.
right,
It's being ignored right now, but if you were to come up with the solution to that problem, you got yourself a job. So when you go somewhere, pay attention.
right,
Pay attention to small things, and then that's how you get yourself landed to a position. Because usually young people come as interns, they come being tried in a place, and then it's 4 or 5 months and they let you go.
right,
You have those 4 or 5 months to look and look
right,
really closely. there is something out there for you. And once you open that box for them,
Right.
you can never close it again. Now you just fix a problem for them that they didn't even know they had, or they knew they had but couldn't deal with.
You couldn't have said it any better. Yara, we're not going to take up too much of your time. Obviously, you work of the day. You still have to wear other hat outside of work. I'm sure husband and kids are still waiting. Um, but thank you again for allowing us to interview you for this hour, for sharing your story. You know, if I could summarize it, it's a story of resilience and just beautiful soul inside out. You've shown us that mastering both finance and technology can create real impact, and just your determination and just how you're so straightforward and transparent can actually have major impact. One last word for our listeners, and we'll let you get back to your normal life.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you. I did this interview with you because I believe in giving back to my community.
Right.
So let's just help one another, right? Let's give a helping hand. We all here looking for a better life. So if you see a brother that can use, even, I don't know, you give them a like on a LinkedIn post, or you share their resume with someone and it can land them a job. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's just help one another. It doesn't hurt.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm highly actually. I'm more than happy that this conversation took place, because there was a lot of people that was telling good things about you, and obviously when I reach out to you, you were open to actually serve the community and just help out, and just like you said, just spark that, you know that you that tool that's going to spark somebody's brain to do something big in their life. So thank you again. This is your host Amadou Cole in the Opportunity Room, where all the possibilities are endless. And subscribe, share, and like, so we can have more people like Jara on this episode. And thank you again.
Thank you, Amadou.
Bye for now.
Bye.